I'm gonna scare the hell out of you.
When Shawnee Smith's name popped up, I thought, oh shit. Could she be the horny Kansas whack job Nick and Tom run into? Laws, yes, she is. You'll find a great deal of hard-bitten romantics uttering an oft-repeated phrase. When you find a good one, hold on to them. And that's just what Stephen King when he crossed paths with genteel scoutmaster of horror, Mick Garris. Anybody who could juggle that many characters and locations without tearing that bushy, wavy hair out of his scalp has got to be the premier interpreter of King's massive oeuvre, right? Well, post-Stand, he got chance after chance with King material, and despite being a wonderfully affable chap and not without talent, Garris's compelling but maudlin, tediously paced miniseries is still the best thing he's ever accomplished. Unless you're a Hocus Pocus fanatic. It's no wonder King was pleased, because structurally, this is a very faithful adaptation. Sure, characters, elements, and/or sections have been condensed or outright removed. They're not going to do that scene with the kid and Trashy. People'd soak their panties with pure Coors suds. Ain't that right, Happy Crappy? But for the most part, King's teleplay adjustments are quite beneficial. We gotta move this thing along. There are junkies to crucify and committees to be formed. Problem is, taken at face value and with zero knowledge of the book, a large swath of secondary characters become unnecessary and bog down the runtime. They become one-dimensional and practically play as fan service additions rather than contextual plot essentials. Anyone who's read the book has their own idea of how these characters should appear in the flesh, and for what it's worth, the casting here could be a lot worse. 94 was a very good year for Sinise, and he's such an effortlessly magnetic actor that he's the calming rock at the center of this beast. Ringwald comes with so much cultural baggage that it's a little difficult to take her seriously. She's adequate, but doesn't quite fit, nor does Adam Stork's Larry. He's unconvincing, especially in early scenes where he never nails that flavor of a selfish prima donna wrestling with his callous emotions. Lowe's bland prettiness is a detriment, and he lacks that hard-scrabble, hard-fought tenacity which made Nick such a great character. Walston is a sage old codger, and it's ironic that the trickier roles end up being the best performed. Bill Fagerback somehow manages to portray Tom Cullen's simpleton with respect, authenticity, and above all else, care. Meanwhile, Ruby Dee's mother Abigail could be achingly preachy and aggravating if her impassioned performance weren't so inspiring. Still, it's all about the baddies making their way to wicked old Randall Flagg's New Vegas. Laura San Giacomo is an ideal Nadine, and her vulnerability and sensuality makes for a fascinating character. Her seduction of pathetic old Corin Nemec is heavily charged with sexual tension, and even though Nemec isn't a perfect herald, he does have that sniveling, simmering fever of jealousy masquerading as good cheer. Meanwhile, her first encounter with Flagg is genuinely horrifying, and she sells both her initial obsession and immediate regret. Miguel Ferrer was one of our great scumbags, and if anything, I wish he were in this even more because he's so damn fascinating to watch. His underplaying is particularly impressive and the polar opposite of our friendly old maniac trash can man. Frewer goes way out there into Bugnuts territory, and his pyromaniac lunatic's persona might be too forceful, but it's potent. Smith is so extreme that she ends up stealing just about any scene she's in with her loathsome, squealing wench of a hanger-on. Then there's Jamie Sheridan's Flagg. Now, any King fan worth their weight in mid-world coin knows how important Flagg is to King's conception of mischievous evil, and overall, Sheridan does a decent if unremarkable job. It's a difficult role, no doubt, but what he lacks in the natural charisma that would draw people to his malevolent aura, he makes up for in the many instances of sly, cruel manipulation and outright fear tactics he levels upon his many subordinates. Some filmmakers use the crane to show off. Ooh, we rented a crane today. Garris is, for better or worse, a highly visual director, and his shooting style, particularly his many crane shots, are strikingly realized. The 4:3 format in 16mm footage looks great after the restoration, and those fluid camera moves, not to mention a spectacular opening credits sequence scored to Blue Oyster Cult's Don't Fear the Reaper, make several sections feel cinematic. Steve Johnson's macabre effects look terrific, and for a TV movie, it's pretty gruesome. Unfortunately, Garris's admirable quest to remain true to the material and follow King's teleplay is so deliberately paced and underscored by weepy, sleep-inducing piano chords that it's no wonder the first 2 episodes are so enthralling, but the midsection with the Boulder Free Zone is bleary. The Stand isn't an endurance test, but it's also not a compulsive watch either. Sure, you want to know how it's all going to end, which it does with a shockingly janky use of special effects that might have been far better served as a bright light and the parting of some clouds rather than whatever the hell that thing was. Respect and admiration are due, but there's no getting around the fact that it starts off very strong, stumbles about for the rest, and only occasionally comes to life. MOON. That spells adequate. Happy Kingtober. Like and subscribe, and remember, there are other worlds than these.